Hey, I'm Chris.
And I'm Caitlin. We have big news. We're adopting and we're so excited to be sharing our story with you.
When Caitlin and I got engaged and began having this conversation about our future family, we never talked about a specific number of children that we wanted to have. We just knew that we didn't want to have an only child. Both Caitlin and I grew up with multiple siblings, me being the oldest of five, Caitlin being the youngest of three. And now that we're older, both of us have really good relationships with our siblings. I consider it to be such a blessing, to have multiple siblings, to have those good relationships with. From the very beginning of our marriage, God put a desire in our hearts to have a home full of children. In one of the verses that that kind of stuck out to us was in Psalm 127, verses 4 and 5, says that children are a heritage from the Lord, offspring a reward from Him. Like arrows in the hands of the warrior are children born in one's youth. Blessed is the man whose quiver is full of them. That's something that we took to heart, something that we really saw as God's vision for our family. We wanted to raise up a family full of warriors for Christ, to be raised and nurtured in a home that constantly in discussion about God and who He is, so that those children could turn around one day and go out into the world and kind of do the same thing with their family. So the one thing that we did talk about, though, was when we kind of made our plans, was that we talked about having our own natural born children first, and then adopting later to complete our family.
So about a year and a half into our marriage, we got pregnant with our first child, our sweet son, Clark. My pregnancy with Clark was pretty much textbook perfect. It was very enjoyable. Everything went really well. Clark was born in the early spring of 2014, and our lives have not been the same since. Clark brings us so much joy. So shortly after Clark turned 1, we decided we wanted to grow our family and have another child. So it didn't take long, and in summer of 2015, I got pregnant. We went to our 8-week follow-up appointment and heard the heartbeat and saw an ultrasound, and everything was perfect. We were so excited to be welcoming baby number 2 into our family. Shortly after that appointment, I started to experience some symptoms of a miscarriage. We made a doctor's appointment and went in, and it was confirmed that we had lost the baby. The next few days, weeks, and months were the most difficult that we have ever experienced. Our faith was really tested. It was a time where we really just had to get honest with God and just cry out to Him. We were honest with Him about our pain, about our disappointment, about how He could have intervened and saved our baby, but had a different plan, and how that was okay. After the miscarriage, God really met us where we were. In our grief that was just very deep and raw, He comforted us in a way that only He could have comforted us. He used family and friends to really just minister to us and just show His love through them.
Through the year following the miscarriage, God was good and faithful. He did a work on both of our hearts. There was a lot of healing and restoration. Caitlin and I spent a lot of time working through some fears, a lot of what ifs, and through that we decided, you know what, let's go ahead and try and get pregnant again. Since we had gotten pregnant pretty quickly the first 2 times. We thought, okay, this is gonna be pretty simple. It's gonna happen pretty quickly, and it's gonna be easy, so to speak. So when a couple months turned into 4 or 5 months, turned into a year of trying to get pregnant, we began to get a little concerned, honestly. So Kayla made an appointment with her doctor to try to go in and see what's going on. Why is it taking us so long after getting pregnant so quickly the first 2 times? Over the next couple months, there were a lot of tests, a lot of procedures that were done to try and give us some idea as to what might be happening. Everything came back normal, so we were encouraged to give it some more time. We tried for another year, and nothing happened. Discouragement began to set in. We were thinking, okay, all these tests and procedures, everything came back normal, and we're kind of just being told to just keep going, but we didn't really think that was normal, to just continue to try for this long and for nothing to have happened. So the longer you continue to try, you kind of it's almost like getting your hopes up. You kind of think like, okay, this is definitely going to be it, and that month would come and go, and Caitlin would be pregnant. But through that time, we didn't really get any indication that God's will for our family had changed. We firmly believed that God was still leading us and guiding us in the path of having more children and continuing to grow our family. So we began to pray and really just consider our options. We started to explore both adoption and infertility treatments at the same time. And after some discussion and had been talking to a few people, we decided to meet with an infertility doctor. They decided to do more tests, more monitoring. We had only been seeing him for about a month when we got called into his office to have a direct discussion with him. We learned then that there were some abnormalities that were present, abnormalities that would continue to make pregnancy difficult. It certainly wasn't completely out of the realm of possibility, but it was going to not only make it difficult, but also increase the likelihood for miscarriages down the road. This was like a punch in the gut. Somebody kind of coming and pulling the rug right under your feet. Something that we certainly were not expecting. And of course, the more questions just start to come in of, why God? We have this desire to have children. We want to have children in our home. We felt like that was what God was leading us towards, and then this happens. But the one theme that had been just kind of in the back of our minds the whole time, just through our entire beginning from getting pregnant with Clark all the way through to this point, was that God just kept trying to tell us, just trust me. Trust me.
So over the next few weeks, we sat down and had some really intentional conversation. Just praying and seeking the Lord. What are we supposed to be doing with this information that we've received? Neither one of us had felt like the desire had changed in our hearts to grow our family. And so was the Lord shutting a door for more natural born children? And was he opening the door for us to explore adoption? We both knew that we didn't want adoption to be a second option or a backup plan, so we knew going into that decision we really needed to have peace from God, just clarity on what path we were going to be taking. So we decided to seek some godly counsel, and through that, the Lord just really spoke to us that our timeline this whole time had just been different than what his timeline was. It brought to mind the verse in Proverbs where it talks about how man plans his ways, but the Lord determines his steps. God was showing us that the timeline was different than what we had planned. He was opening the door for us to adopt, and all we had to do was walk through it. We are so incredibly excited to be on this journey to bring home baby Yarbrough. We are confident that God's going to continue to show up in huge ways and provide for us.
So we're inviting all of our family and friends to join us on this incredible ride. We hope that by inviting you in, that you'll feel part of the community, part of the family, if you will, that we want to build around our new soon-to-be addition to the Yarbrough family. So there's a couple of ways that you could get involved with us. The first is just to pray. Pray. First for the baby that God is going to bring into our family. We don't yet know at this point, who that baby is. But we just pray that that baby will be safe and healthy as Mama is carrying that baby and giving birth to that baby. We want to pray for that birth mom. We obviously, again, we don't know who that is. We don't know what her story and her situation might be. We don't even know if she'll know or have a relationship with the Lord. But we pray that somehow through us, maybe through the agency that we'll be working with, or through someone that that birth mom would come to know Christ and have a relationship with Him. And lastly, you can pray for the financial needs to be met. Throughout the process, there's going to be certain benchmarks or checkpoints where we're going to have certain monies due. We just pray that that God will provide the money needed at those checkpoints.
Another way that you can be involved is to share our story. Share our story with your friends, with your family, on social media. By doing this, we can reach far more people than if just we were telling our story. Share so that other people can partner with us in prayer, partner with us financially during our fundraisers.
And lastly, you can consider giving a donation and or partnering with us in our fundraisers. It may surprise you to hear that adoption-related costs can easily top $35,000. That's why we have set a goal for our adoption at $40,000. So in our post, you'll see there's a link to our personal fundraising site.
So make sure that you are following our blog, Our Jeremiah Journey. We came up with that title because it goes with our verse that we are praying over ourselves and our baby and the birth mother, believing that God has a plan for all of us, and His plan is a plan of hope. So our blog has our story, our blog, I'm going to be posting updates, and our blog also has information on our fundraisers. So our first fundraiser is called the Love Tree. And so check out our blog for more details on how you can be involved in that. We're also going to be selling t-shirts, so be on the lookout for those designs in the next few weeks.
So thank you for taking the time to listen to our story. We look forward to see how God is going to impact and grow our family through this adoption journey.